Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
We know that the need is greater than our capacity at this point.
Food banks battle to have enough to give.
It's a new normal, but it's positive when you have people working with you, helping you.
Battling tornadoes and COVID-19 in Monroe.
Sometimes the buses ran their routes and delivered them to the students at their homes.
With schools closed, teachers are forced to improvise.
A kid's mask, a Superman kid's mask, and like a unicorn kid's mask.
A Zachary elementary school student using this time at home to make life-saving PPE. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Williams.
And I'm Andre Morrow. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of SWI. But first, an announcement from Governor John Bel Edwards today at his latest briefing.
He's announcing $500,000 will be added to the Health Equity Task Force for the research on how the coronavirus affects various groups.
This comes because of some very generous contributions made by the Irene W. and C.B. Pennington Family Foundation. I know Paula Pennington de la Breton is here with us today. We also have Bill Belhoff, who's chairman of the board of the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, and we want to thank him and the foundation for their contribution as well. And then David Beach is with us, and he is the president of the Hugh and Angelina Wilson Foundation. And I want to thank them for their very generous contributions that will allow this task force to immediately start work.
And now we'll look at other news making headlines. Masks will be recommended attire even when stay-at-home orders and restrictions on businesses are relaxed. Governor John Bel Edwards says think of wearing one in public as just being polite to others and part of the new normal. The CDC says wearing a mask can slow the overall spread of COVID-19 and is meant to protect others, not yourself. A reworked plan to increase early and mail-in voting options for the state's summer elections cleared a hurdle in the legislature. This after Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin dialed back the expansion of mail-in balloting from his first proposal. It initially would have allowed anyone who had a concern of exposure to the coronavirus to request an absentee by mail ballot. The allowance now involves a more specific list of people with certain medical conditions. The governor plans to soon release details about non-emergency surgeries. Elective surgeries and other procedures were largely put on hold as state hospitals ramped up their response to deal with the COVID-19 outbreak. Those needing hospitalization and ventilators has declined in recent days. The state has the third highest rate of coronavirus cases in the country. The National Science Foundation has awarded a $100,000 grant to an LSU sociology professor. Wesley Shrum Jr. will study the coronavirus outbreak and examine the role of exposure and fear globally. The findings will help policymakers understand the diversity of fears and other factors during a pandemic. A new study says oil pollution has been detected in thousands of fish in the Gulf of Mexico, including higher levels in yellowfin tuna and red drum. The research was carried out between 2011 and 2018 and sampled 91 species in more than 350 locations. The release of the report comes on the 10th anniversary of the BP oil spill, which was this week. In 2010, millions of gallons of oil spewed into the Gulf for 87 days following the explosion of the Deepwater Horizon rig. The explosion killed 11 workers. The U.S. Supreme Court Monday struck down state laws in Louisiana and Oregon that allowed people accused of serious crimes to be convicted by a non-unanimous jury vote. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote for the court that the divided vote should be discarded as a vestige of Jim Crow laws in our state, where racial bigotry was a motivating factor. Shreveport's Independence Bowl has a new title sponsor. Radiance Technologies, based in Huntsville, Alabama, struck a 5-year deal with the bowl. Walk-Ons had been title sponsor the past 3 years.
The NFL draft was held Thursday night. LSU Joe Burrow, of course, the first pick overall, taken by the Cincinnati Bengals. He tweeted this morning, "Enough talk, let's get to work."
Absolutely. The record-smashing Heisman-winning quarterback of the national champions was one of an SEC record 5 LSU Tigers taken in the first round. In Louisiana, 1 in 6 households struggle to put food on the table. That's an impact on almost 785,000 people, and that's in the best of times. But the fallout from the coronavirus pandemic has put pressure on even more households and on the state's 5 regional food banks. This is where Second Harvest Food Bank in Greater New Orleans is now operating, in the parking lot of Zephyr Field in Metairie. As thousands in Louisiana have lost their jobs in the grip of the coronavirus, Second Harvest has seen the demand for food explode. Feeding Louisiana supports the state's 5 major food banks. I talked with Executive Director Korey Patty.
Second Harvest is our largest member food bank in the state, certainly with the population that they're serving in New Orleans and Lafayette and Lake Charles. They've got the most populated areas of the state, and they're seeing that need explode. I think a function of that is the local economy. So looking at all of the restaurants and retail and entertainment outlets that are there, the gig economy workers and such that have been displaced and are out of work. So you're really seeing that need pop up there. They were managing a distribution out of their facility there in New Orleans and have had to move that to Zephyr Field, where they're serving thousands of cars on a per distribution. I think the totals that they're looking at in terms of pounds of food distributed, 126,000 plus pounds of food distributed just in one day to 2,000 some people. When they started that distribution, it was 1,000 cars showing up, and that has doubled. So, we're really seeing the need expand.
Could they run out of supplies, or is that a threat?
I think it could be a threat, sure. I mean, our folks, I think across the board feel okay today about where they are in terms of inventory, but the caveat there is we know that the need is greater than our capacity at this point. And we know that this event is going to stretch for some time. So where we're looking at it and saying, okay, we've got 2 to 3 weeks of food in our warehouses across the state, with more food coming in through the ordering that we're doing through partnership with Department of Ag. If any of those things fall apart, or if any link in that chain is damaged or delayed, then there could be some pretty serious concerns. Some of the metrics that we're looking at, the state's reporting, Louisiana Workforce Commission is looking at the unemployment claims that are being submitted, and looking at more than 100,000 new unemployment claims that have been submitted for this previous week, more than 90,000, more than 70,000 for the previous 2 weeks, as compared to their kind of normal place at somewhere around 1,500 to 1,600 submitted in a week. So 2019, the 3 or 4 weeks in question, they were seeing around 1,600 applications submitted, and now they're above 100,000 applications submitted. Looking at the significant number of SNAP applications that have submitted, that speaks truly to the need that exists for food assistance. One of the things that we're watching pretty closely is the timeline from application date for a client looking for SNAP assistance to receipt of card, receipt of benefits, so that they can go and purchase groceries from a grocery store. recognizing that in that window, before they receive the card, before they receive those benefits, they're going to be relying on the emergency food network and relying on the state's food banks.
What is the thing that keeps you up at night?
The thing that keeps me up at night is those pictures from Zephyr Field, right? And seeing the growth and need. We've got, like we said, great partnerships with the National Guard and great local partnerships on the ground. But if we shift from folks who are concerned and a public concern about spread of the virus to public concerns and fear of food shortages, then it's a very different situation for communities and for society. So recognizing that we have to have enough resources, the government has to be able to respond with SNAP benefits in a timely fashion so that people can keep food on their table and kind of mitigate this fear that I know exists out there right now.
Korey, Patty, thank you very much for that. Farm Bureau Louisiana this week announced the donation of $500,000 to Feeding Louisiana. Call 211 to locate a food bank nearest you.
Longtime Monroe Mayor Jamie Mayo is leading the charge to pick up the pieces after tornadoes ripped through the city's airport and devastated several communities. He says he's relying on his experience in office as he juggles getting the city back in order in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. In the midst of battling a microscopic virus unlike anything we've ever seen before, Monroe, Louisiana was struck on Easter Sunday with not one but 3 tornadoes.
They're both emergencies. They're both similar in that, in a lot of cases, a matter of life and death. With the tornadoes, we didn't have any fatalities, and that was good. We only had 3 minor injuries. And if you see some of the structures that were damaged, you would think there's no way that anybody was able to get out of there.
The twisters, packing winds over 140 miles an hour, struck just before noon, cutting an 8-mile path through Ouachita Parish in just under 10 minutes. When it was all said and done, 450 homes were damaged, 23 destroyed. Debris littered the city, and there was widespread power outages.
We've been out there on the ground, talking to, again, the residents, helping to feed them, trying to get them moved to a hotel because we can't do the shelter deal now because of the social distancing, and trying to work on transitional housing for them. American Red Cross has been great. Homeland Security been great, working with the city of West Monroe, the city of Sterlington and Richwood, and also working with our city council. And so the community has just been great. So it makes my job as mayor not as difficult when you have all those partners working together.
And while the mayor of nearly 20 years was literally picking up the pieces of his city, he was already busy helping residents navigate the coronavirus pandemic that closed schools, businesses, and churches alike, bringing the economy of the northern Louisiana city to a screeching halt.
We're all adjusting to a new normal because that's what it's going to be, not only now, but also for a number of months and possibly a year. But a number of people are hurting. And I want to emphasize that they're hurting because of the slowdown in the economy. And there's been a lot of talk about bringing the economy back and opening everything back up. Businesses have had to be closed, and they've been closed here. There's no exception. People have been laid off or have had their work hours reduced.
The mayor says because of so many shuttered businesses and activities that have been postponed or canceled altogether, the city is receiving less revenue, and
sales tax revenue is crucial for our annual operating budget within our local economy. That includes in Ouachita Parish, Monroe, West Monroe, Sterlington, and Richwood. And we've already announced that, in fact, we announced that early in the week, that we're going to have a deficit for this fiscal year, which ends April 30th. And that's going to be close to $1 million. And so we were projecting a $600,000 surplus, but now it's going to be a deficit because of the challenges that we have.
The mayor says despite all the city is going through, he expects Monroe to recover, and with continued support from the state and federal government, they will bounce back.
Our city is resilient, and we're going to come back. We know that the United States Conference of Mayors, they're advocating to Congress, trying to get some support for the cities where the revenue will come directly into the cities. We appreciate what we get from the state and federal government we need those funds to come directly to us. And our leadership, as part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, they're working hard to try to make this happen. Having the experience and having been here for a while, and we have city employees, department heads who have the experience, and also division heads where we've worked on a lot of this. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We know a lot about the emergency operations. We work along with the Homeland Security here, along with West Monroe and some of the others. We have a tremendous communication within the community to get things out. So we don't have to start from scratch. We're going to keep the faith in God, and we're going to keep moving forward.
Mayor Jamie Mayo is also in the middle of running for re-election, all while handling all these moving parts. He says he's committed to working day and night to get his city back on track.
With schools closed, students will miss more than 2 months of classes because of the pandemic, but educators are improvising to keep students engaged. Lack of internet access or resources forcing some areas to go old school in their approach. I talked with the executive director of the Association of Superintendents, Michael Falk, from his home in Monroe.
You had school systems, central office staff got together, then the principals got together, and classroom teachers, and in accordance to the guidelines, and they began formulating plans to deliver resources to students. They looked at what they had available as far as technology was concerned. They looked at if they did not have technology available or it was limited, what were some options that they had. It was a way to focus on education, where the students were at, to provide them some resources to allow them to continue to work and provide parents something that they could have either via technology or hard stuff that they could work with their students, because a lot of the parents were home also.
If there were challenges with technology, what were the things that could be done for those students that didn't have the technology of others?
What could be done is the teachers, and they did this, they prepared packets of educational resources based on the grade level, primarily the core subjects, the English, the math, science, and social studies. Then they developed a mechanism to deliver those. Either they mailed them direct to the student's home. Sometimes the buses ran their routes and delivered them to the students at their homes. They sent out blast emails or phone calls to parents, letting them know a time that they could come to the school to pick up the packets for their child, and they do it as like a drive-through.
What are some of the areas that had problems with technology, whether it be broadband, Wi-Fi?
You had a lot of areas in Northeast Louisiana because of the broadband width, the internet access, the Wi-Fi access, especially in remote rural communities. Even some of the municipalities had issues with it, to where the only internet access or Wi-Fi access you might have had was a local library, a parish library. And even then, they had to close down their doors with the executive orders. Right. Some districts set up Wi-Fi spots, either in remote locations, or they set up at their central office at a neighborhood school. If the school had it, to where parents could come and park and access the Wi-Fi and then access the materials and stuff.
Teachers are also using televideo conferencing so they can talk with students.
This week, Louisiana Public Square aired a special edition of its series, Pulse of a Pandemic, to give the status of the COVID-19 crisis as it continues to affect residents of the state.
The program featured the governor, U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy, Congressman Garrett Graves, and other experts discussing financial assistance, economic concerns, and what reopening Louisiana may look like. Here's a clip.
We're not going back to life as we knew it 2 months ago. That's not going to happen. This is going to be a gradual opening of the economy, and it's going to be done so in a way that is smart and with a lot of testing and contact tracing capacity, so that if we see cases spike, we know how to keep those cases down, because we don't want to have to go back. We always want to be able to go forward with the reopening over time.
If we're going to help those individuals, families, and small businesses do well on the backside of this, then we need to have cities help their first responders be on the streets, not a city on its back bankrupt. The bill I proposed, bipartisan with Senator Menendez from New Jersey, would give some cash to these municipalities and state governments to make up for that lost tax revenue, to preserve that capital, that human capital infrastructure.
For those businesses that have been closed, what do they need in terms of support to reopen? What do they need to know? Do they need to do temperature checks for customers coming in? Do they need to provide PPE for workers coming back? Should they be concerned about customers that are coming in that may, for one, be concerned that do the employees have everything that they need before I come in to get service? All of those are things that those industry experts will be able to provide us as we look at opening the state back up.
As long as you use up to 75% or 75% or more of your loan under the Paycheck Protection Program to actually pay your employees, and you use the remaining 25% or less for rent, for mortgage, interest, or utilities, then your entire loan can be forgiven. And of course, there are other products in addition to the state products out there to offer a lending hand and a little bit of capital access to businesses to help them get through this crisis in Louisiana.
Unfortunately for the governor, the sectors that are really enjoying extra sales because of people's hoarding is not subject to the sales tax. Your grocery stores, your pharmaceuticals are not taxed at the state level. So that's a bit of a problem. As a matter of fact, we were talking before we started filming with the governor. He and the legislature have a tough row to hoe going into this legislative session. I think they're going to have to deal with a pretty significant shortfall from this fiscal year, and then if that price of oil stays low and we're slow to come out of this, he and the legislature have a really difficult problem in FY21.
Pulse of a Pandemic Encores tonight at 11 and Sunday morning at 10 a.m. During the broadcast, viewers can participate in a live interactive survey by texting COVID to 225-263-4884.
Well, the state and nation facing uncertainties about the economy going forward and people worried about their own situation. A recent survey showed a majority of people are more worried about their money than their health. I talked with Ernie Burns, a Baton Rouge financial advisor, who gave us some basic tips.
We've never seen this before, a 35% drop in a Dow in a month and a half. But overall, don't panic. The government has responded much faster than back in 2008. Our banking system is more responsible now and is collaboratively stronger than back in 2008 overall. So because the federal government reaction and our local government's reaction, this is not the time to panic whatsoever. I know there's a lot of pessimism out there, and people want to believe the doom and gloom because we've never seen this before. People are panicking, and governments are panicking right now. But overall in itself, this is the American way. The American way in itself is to achieve and capitalism in a sense of basically building what you want for your family, for your business, for yourselves, and achieving those goals. People are going to do that.
She's the Zachary Elementary School Student of the Year, and she's not only excelling at her school, but also in her community. 10-year-old Mackenzie Barrow saw a need and with the help of her mom, pulled out her sewing machine and started making much needed PPE.
Mackenzie, it looks like you have like a little factory behind you, a mask factory. Is that about right?
Sorta, kinda.
It didn't take very long in our conversation to realize 10-year-old Mackenzie Barrow, a straight-A student, is not only bright, but thoughtful too.
It was like starting to spread a lot in Louisiana, and then I noticed that a lot, it was having shortages with masks, so I decided that I should start making some since I know how to do like sewing, so I could make some for the first responders.
The Zachary Elementary Student of the Year is no stranger to giving back to her community, and when she saw the news about COVID-19, she hatched a plan with a little help from her mom to give back again in a potentially life-saving way.
we already had like about all the supplies that we needed. We just had to figure out a pattern to use. Once we figured that out, we used my mom's embroidery machine to make the mask.
How long does it take you to make a mask?
A little bit over 15 minutes.
You can make a mask every 15 minutes?
2 mats every 15 minutes.
Wow. So what have you learned since doing this? I mean, you've already obviously known how to sew, but what have you learned in doing this?
Well, I had to first learn how to use the embroidery machine. So my mom taught me. And then also I learned how to do like cutting them out and ironing and all this different stuff you have to do to like make the mask.
But the active fourth grader who juggles church activities, soccer, orchestra, Spanish club, and community theater, just to name a few of her many activities, is using this downtime of sorts to help at a time when help is very needed, making dozens of masks for Lane Regional Medical Center in Zachary.
I know it's over 100.
You've over 100 masks?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you still making the mask?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what's the fun part about this for you? I mean, it may seem like work, but what's the really fun part for you?
The fun part is that I get to help out with the community. Then I also get to learn new stuff, and I get to spend time with my mom.
Mackenzie, thank you so much. And hey, thanks for being a great little citizen and doing so much to help the community. I can't wait to tell your story.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the first batch of 50 masks that Mackenzie made were given to nurse, doctors, and other medical workers at Lane Medical Center in Zachary. And as you can imagine, they went like hotcakes. She says, of course, there's lots of requests for Saint mask as well as LSU mask.
Yeah, Mackenzie, you are fantastic. She's something else, huh?
Yes.
Well, that's our show for this week, everyone. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime with our app.
Download it for free from your app store. This upgraded version features news, public affairs, documentaries, how-tos, and many more programs. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For all of us here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Natasha Williams. Thanks for watching.
Until next time, stay safe, and that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.